Let's go. Batter up. It's taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Inside Pitch with me, Joe Mansolino, and my co-host slash producer slash friend, Mr. Brian Lehman. Brian, how are you today?
Man, it's another wonderful day to be alive.
There you go. There you go. Lots of good things went on during the month of May in baseball, and we'll get to that in a while. Let's talk about the standings to start off where we are.
Outstanding.
The Yankees playing good baseball. They are in first place in their division, the American League East, followed by Tampa Bay, Boston, Toronto, and Baltimore. In the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins are running away with it. They're playing very, very well. Following them very closely are the Chicago White Sox and the Cleveland Indians, and they are followed by Detroit and the Kansas City Royals. In the American League West, Houston is in front, running away with that division, followed by Texas, and then Oakland and the Angels are fighting for a spot, and Seattle is pulling up the rear. In the National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves are fighting together to be in first place, followed by the New York Mets, the Washington Nationals, and the Miami Marlins. In the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers and Chicago Cubs are fighting for first place. St. Louis Cardinals are right behind them, followed by the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds. And in the National League West, the Dodgers have a comfortable lead, followed by Colorado Rockies and San Diego Padres right in there together, followed by Arizona, and the San Francisco Giants are pulling up the rear. So that is where we stand in baseball going into today.
And for all you folks in Miami, all we have to say is, their abbreviation's MIA, and that's kind of fitting because considering they are MIA on the field right now.
They are MIA. Their management issues and getting rid of some of their players and stuff. Derek Jeter is probably not the most well-liked person in Miami at the moment.
That's a crying shame, too, because the people in New York just sobbed when he went away.
I don't know what he's going on. I hope he has a long-term plan because it's going to take a long term for them to get back in contention.
For the rest of the East, though, they're all like, yeah, we're good with that.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to see. I feel sorry for the fans in Miami. They're great fans. They love the game, and they're not coming out because there's nothing to watch.
Well, I mean, it's not like they have a good product on the field. If they would at least get some attractive individuals to go out and sell concessions, maybe they would get a few folks to show up.
I really think even a solid or one of the better Double-A teams could beat the Marlins right now.
Ooh, that's a bad thing.
They're not playing very well, and I really do feel sorry for their fans.
Yes. Like I said, if I was a big fan of one of the other teams in the East, I would probably like the Rays, who are not obviously different. But if I was a Rays fan, I'd probably have to give them a little bit of a hard time. One of those, so, how's everything in MIA?
Yeah, very true.
See, Joe's the nice guy.
Okay, I'm not going to argue that point. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. I'm here to give me another $5 bill, and I'll say anything you want.
May was a very exciting month. Major League Baseball broke a record. They broke their history. The most home runs in a month were this year, May of 2019. There were 1,135 home runs hit.
Good grief. Now,
broke the all-time record.
See, and there are some people saying that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, we're all fans of offense. I guess it's kind of like all sports. We want to see the offensive team go out there and do something, but that's a whole lot.
That's a whole lot of home runs. What it doesn't show is what they're not doing. It's also a lot of strikeouts. Because nowadays when players aren't swinging level and they're getting complimented on what's their arc in their swing, it's either going to be a home run or a strikeout, and the strikeouts are crazy. And, management doesn't seem to care. As long as you're going to hit 20 or 30 home runs, I don't care if you strike out every other time at bat, and that just doesn't make sense to me.
Good point.
But 1,135 home runs in what hopefully isn't a steroid situation.
No, we've never had one of those in Major League Baseball, have we?
I don't think so.
See, I like that pause he puts in there.
I don't think so.
And if we did, we'll just skip over that portion of history. Yeah, it never happened.
But just think, during that time when all that was going on, they didn't have a month where altogether they hit 1,135 home runs.
That's because the rest of the guys were scared to use, because they didn't want things turning into raisins.
Well, that speaking of raisins,
it's a Kellogg's moment.
we got 2 more pitchers out there that still haven't been signed and played, and they're both pretty good pitchers. Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell are still unsigned.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's their agent. They're asking for too much money, too many crazy things. It's just nuts.
See, if you're the player, aren't you tempted to say, no, you're not a great agent. Holding me out this long is starting to really cut into my paycheck.
I hope that's what they're doing. I mean, I do hope that's what they're doing. It just, if what they were asking for was reasonable, which it isn't, but if it was reasonable, they'd be playing right now.
Good point.
Kimbrell's a good closer. He's in the top tier of the closers. He could be helping a lot of teams out there right now that are starting to, need better pitching, need a closer. He's their answer. And people are, luckily, in my opinion, smart enough to not pay what they're asking for. I think that's a good decision. And if you're asking too much and they're just sitting there all year, so be it. That's on the agent as far as I'm concerned.
Well, how old is he? Not the agent, the player, the pitcher. I mean, he's not that terribly old. It's not like,
I don't know. They both have, I'd say, 4 or 5 years left.
Yeah. See, it's one of those things. If you think, he's on the tail end of his career, I can see why people are avoiding. But man, if they're avoiding you, and you've got years left, you have to look in the mirror and say, is it me or is it them?
You do. And what color are his eyes?
When he does things like this, what you can't see is there's a water bottle in my hand. You're about to see it fly past the other camera.
When he asks me questions out of the blue, folks, that's just what happened.
I think his eyes are hazel.
And, who knows?
We can ask his wife. Do we have her number?
No. Anyway, and let's go back. Another thing this year we've talked about a lot with some of the people on the show is pitching, and the fact that their starters aren't going 5, 6, 7 innings. That's what they're satisfied with, not a complete game. Earlier this week, we had Dave Martinez, the manager of the Washington Nationals, go out to try to pull Max Scherzer, and Scherzer told him just flat out, no. They're on the mound. He told him, no, you're not taking me out. I'm going on. I'm pitching this. And Martinez finally gave up and went back to the dugout, and Scherzer struck the guy out. Why do you want to pull a guy out when you don't have to? It just makes no sense to me. How people think that a quality start is 6 innings makes no sense to me. A quality start is when you've gone the distance and you win the game.
Wow, this sounds like a conversation I had with a lady last night. If I had a quality start, why do you want to pull a guy out when it's nip and tuck?
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have no guests tonight. We'll be taking phone calls, and we are getting our first one right now, and it looks like it's Mr. Yankee. Let's get him on the phone.
Sure, hang on 1 second.
And we have our first caller, Mr. Yankee. How are you doing today?
Very good, Joe. Joe, I'd like, before we begin, I'd like to do a very important shout-out. And that's to the June 6th, as you know, is D-Day. And those soldiers that landed on D-Day, Joe, changed the war around.
That they did.
And I want to give a shout-out to all those great soldiers.
Good deal. Good deal. They deserve
And
it. If it wasn't for
God.
them, the world we're living today wouldn't be as free as it is. They fought for our free world, and they gave it to us.
and they changed the war around. That was a big battle.
Right.
And you know who was who fought on D-Day? Yogi Berra.
Yes, he did. He was one of those guys who gave up peak years in his career to fight for our country.
Yeah, Yogi Berra fought on D-Day. So when you say anything about Yogi, you always say one thing: he was a great patriot.
He was a great patriot. And so many of those guys fought for our country and lost time in the middle of their peak years to be able to do the right thing. You got to commend them. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was... Boy, I get very emotional.
That's okay. That's okay. It's an emotional thing.
Okay, Joe, let's start. Worst bullpen in baseball?
Let me guess. I'll say somebody who fired their manager when they shouldn't have. Let's go with the Washington Nationals.
7.23.
Oh, my gosh.
7.23, Joe.
That's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, I don't know. How do you fire Dusty Baker? You know, that firing Dusty Baker was probably their biggest mistake that they ever made, followed very closely by not hiring him when they hired Matt Williams. That was their second big mistake. They should have just hired Dusty then and let him go, and he'll get you to the World Series. They just got too impatient, and what has it gotten them? They just what they deserve. It's a shame because they're a great team. They have great fans. Yeah, and they've got the players, Joe. They have the players now. They had the players since 2012. They've had the players, and Dusty got them in there twice. Yeah, it's a shame. How did you like when Martinez went out to pull Max Scherzer and Max said no, I'm not coming out?
That's what all pitchers who have as much guts as Max Scherzer should do. It's your game. You don't give up your game.
No.
This is your game. You're pitching good, and you're going to get taken out.
Yeah, especially when he was pitching the way he was pitching.
He was pitching terrific, Joe.
Yeah. And he finally made his point, and what did he do? He struck the guy out on 3 pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, they're nuts. What do you think? That we in today's game we have where they think you go 6 innings and that's it. What do you think?
No, I don't like that. That should, and he should put a title after quality start. You know what a quality start is? Ask Sandy Koufax what a quality start is. 9-inning shutout or give up 1 run. That's a quality start. Let's see how many guys get quality starts then.
Yeah. And just imagine, when we go back and we talked earlier in this baseball season on the show about the fact that in 2018, a couple guys led the league with 2 complete games. That was it. 2. Koufax had 2 the first month of the season.
That's disgraceful.
It is disgraceful. I agree.
Oh, another thing, home runs. We're on pace. 6,500 homers, Joe.
Oh, my gosh.
We had 55 last year.
That's amazing. And you know why? Because now they're happy. I don't care how many times you strike out. As long as you hit 20 home runs, I don't care. There's no more teaching people how to swing level. It's all, what's your arc? Look at the arc on that. No, swing level and play the game.
And spin levels on the ball. Did Sandy Koufax have a spin level? He just threw it past you.
That's what he did. That's what he did.
And he had a great cut. Yeah, come on, that's crazy. Okay, here's a fun thing. Shifts. are up
I think I
28%
could
over
compare a
last year
shift to
already.
I can compare the shift to another word just like it. Take the F out, and that's what I think of shifts.
Yeah. They're already up 20%. There was 44,000 shifts last year.
Oh my! And again, let's go back to hitting. What does that tell you? That tells you that people don't know how to hit anymore. If you did, there was no such thing as a shift in the 60s or 70s because they would hit to the opposite field. People can't do that anymore. You know, even in batting practice, you would get to a game early, you watch. You know, they would have to hit a certain many to left, a certain to center, certain to right. They don't do that anymore. It's just how many balls can you hit out of the ballpark. I mean, they're changing the game for the worse in just the subtlest of ways. It's awful.
How about this, Joe? Hitting against a full shift, left-handed batters are batting 226. Against no shift, they're batting 259. So there's not much of a difference, but the point is this. That's what they bring up now. See, the shift is working. Of course it's going to work if you stand there and just bat.
Right. Like you said, of course it's going to work. Yeah.
There are 65. They shift 65% of the left-handers.
Wow.
65% of lefties.
65%. That's amazing. That's sad, but amazing.
And what it's doing, Joe, there's few ground balls, there's few assists, there's few double plays, and there's more strikeouts.
Oh, of course, because now the whole game has turned into home runs or nothing. That's the whole concept nowadays.
Singles and triples, Joe, are there's the fewest.
They're almost obsolete.
Yeah.
Especially triples.
Yeah. And the double plays, there's few double plays and assists because nobody's hitting the ball in the infield.
That's amazing. And again, that's terrible. That's not baseball. Baseball is put the ball in play, not what's your arc for your swing.
So I got a question for you as a catcher.
Okay.
So there's a guy on first. Okay.
Okay.
Ground ball hit to the shortstop. Do you go cover first, or do you just take a look and see if the shortstop's going to decide to throw out? What do you do?
It depends on who the batter is, how fast they can run. I mean, you got to do one of two things. As the catcher, you either have to back up first and have the pitcher watch home plate, or the right fielder will come in and back it up, and you stay at the plate. It depends on who's hitting and what the situation is.
Okay, the other day, I forget the game. There was a ground ball to short. The shortstop, for some reason, didn't want to go for the double play. He threw the ball home, but there was no catcher there. The catcher was backing up first base. Who's at fault?
Without seeing the play, I would say the pitcher, because the pitcher should have been there.
Should have been in back of first base.
No, he should have been watching home plate.
Well, okay. Well, yeah. Well, he didn't go down the home plate. And the shortstop just threw it. He threw it. There was nobody there, Joe.
Well,
it's like Little League now.
You know, it's getting that way. It's turning into Little League day by day, and it's sad. And when you watch, I've been able the last couple of weeks to go to Pensacola, Florida, and watch the Double-A team for the Minnesota Twins play, the Blue Wahoos. And it's been fun to watch. They play fundamental baseball. They are playing fundamental baseball. You see them backing each other up. You see them hitting the cutoff man. They're bunting. They're doing all the things that you don't see at the major league level now. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. So So the pitcher should have been where the catcher was.
Correct. He should have covered home plate. But
Well,
again, that depends
the
on the
guy
batter
put a
and the
ball.
situation. But in general, that's what would happen.
But should the catcher have stayed, or okay? Here's the thing: when the shortstop caught it, Joe, it looked like he couldn't make the play to second base.
Okay.
So should the catcher have been watching that?
Well, no, because if he can't make the throw to second base, he's going to throw to first. Isn't that where he would go?
But there was a guy. I forgot that there was a guy on third. Joe,
Oh,
but
well,
he
you never
wanted to get
said that in your scenario.
Yeah, I know, but okay. But there's a guy on third.
In that case, the catcher doesn't move. The catcher stays there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, the catcher went. He thought he was going to try for the double play, so he ran to first.
No, and again, it depends on a lot of the situations, but in general, no, he should have been there watching home plate.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, he didn't. and the shortstop threw the ball. There was nobody there, Joe.
Yeah, and that
nobody.
And you know, when you're getting ready to throw, you bring your arm back, you look where you're going to throw, and you can see that no one's there, and you got to pull the throw in. You know, you just got to that's it, and run the ball back into the infield. Yeah, you don't just throw it where you want to if nobody's there.
But two wrongs don't make a right, do they?
No, they sure don't. That's really wrong. That's really wrong.
And of course the run scored, Joe.
Of course. Of course.
Of course the run scored.
Well, yeah, nobody was there.
Boy. So they're making a big thing that, well, the lefties are hitting 226 with the shift, but 259 without the shift. So of course they're, look at that, the shift is working. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness.
That's just terrible.
So there's 42% balls are in play with the shift. 42% of the balls are in play. That's all. That's all.
And again, like we've talked about throughout the season on Inside Pitch, the fact is they don't know how to hit anymore. You can't hit to the opposite field. You can't pull when you have to pull. We definitely can't bunt anymore. I mean, hitting is a lost art. It's home run or nothing.
Bunting is out, singles are out, triples are out, double plays are down, assists are down. What? That's not baseball, Joe. That's all part of. I thought double plays and assists were all part of baseball.
They used to be. The game is changing, and not for the better.
Oh my God!
How many home runs did you hit today? That's all they care about.
And this bullpenning is getting out of hand, Joe. It's just getting out of hand.
You mean the pitching changes?
Oh. Yeah, I got one for you. There's only one team in baseball that has started 5 pitches every game.
Every
have
fifth
not
game
used what they call an opener. Okay, one team only. You know what that team is? You're gonna laugh at this one.
Go ahead.
The Miami
Marlins.
Yeah. They're the only team that hasn't used an opener yet. They've used all their 5 pitches, every day.
So every other team in the league has done that at least once?
At least once, including the Yankees did it a couple times. And the Dodgers too a couple times. But still, they're the only team, Joe.
Wow. Wow.
The rest of these guys, they got openers now and closers and hold, and you get a hold. You know why there shouldn't be none of that, Joe? Because the pitcher should go 9 innings. Then you wouldn't have all that stupid stuff.
So you don't like the ninth inning guy preceded by the 8th inning guy and the 7th inning guy and the 6th inning guy.
No. Joe, in my day, if you didn't pitch 9 innings, you didn't make the major leagues.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's the way it should be. I think it should still be that way.
Yeah.
You know, they don't throw enough in between starts. They don't play long toss anymore. They don't do all the things that they should be doing to be able to pitch 9 innings a game.
And I think one of the biggest things, Joe, they're not getting their arm massaged before and after their start.
That's very true. That's very true. And they used to get that when the team only had one trainer. Now teams have multiple trainers, and they're not getting it done.
God. Satchel Paige never missed a game, I don't think. Or he pitched up till he was, 50, 45, whatever?
No, in his 50s.
And you know what they said? The reason every start he got his arm massage after every start. Instead of putting ice pack on it, Joe.
Yeah.
Take a good massage.
Right.
They put heating pads on. Get that blood flowing the right way. Dig into those muscles, man.
And that's what they should do. You got to get the blood flowing. I mean, that's the key to having a strong arm.
And here's another thing, Joe. My opinion again, take the freaking weights out of baseball, please.
Do the what? Say that again.
Take the weights out of baseball. Why do you have to lift weights?
Oh, the weights out of baseball. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I remember the day when they would say baseball players shouldn't be lifting weights. You know, because you get too bulky and you can't swing and all those things. Well, and we heard earlier this season on the show, we heard Bernie Carbo talk about that.
Right.
You know?
Sparky Anderson, he brought 2 little weights in, and Sparky threw him out.
Right. Sparky told him no and threw him away. Yeah.
There are no weights. I mean, why do you want to? What purpose is it for? Your muscles should be loose. Hamstrings should be loose. Quads, shoulders. You know, your ribs especially. You lift weight. That stuff should be massaged out, stretched, not weights on it. What is wrong with these guys today, Joe, with this weights? Yeah,
that I don't know. But, you know, again, back to the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Watching them, you know, before their game, they had a trainer out there. The pitcher was actually getting a massage. He was stretching. He was doing all the things that should be done. It was really nice to see. It was very refreshing to see them doing the right thing.
Don Drysdale, who I love, and who you love, and I thought was a great pitcher.
Oh yeah.
Don Drysdale said one time he went to spring training and he said they don't have a sliding pit anymore.
Yeah. And that's,
so I mean, these guys don't know.
That's why they hurt themselves. They don't know how to slide. It is all
not
fundamentals.
There anymore.
It is all fundamentals. And you used to work on them all the times.
Like you were saying, Joe, pitchers don't throw between games. They don't throw enough innings. You know, get your arm massaged. I bet you there'd be so much less. You know, if you, like you said, if you built that arm up, you should be able to pitch 9 innings, Joe.
Sure.
Why not?
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know why teams are satisfied that they don't anymore. I mean, they're the ones that are forcing the issue to not make it, and it's crazy because, you know, when people would pitch complete games, they were making a lot less money than these guys are, and you're lucky to see 6 innings out of most of them for the money that they're making. It's ridiculous.
Well, Joe, that's a quality start. 6 innings is a quality start.
That's what Major League Baseball thinks. I think if you talk to fans, they know better.
You know, Sandy Koufax, 6 innings is a joke. He went. Oh man, you know what? These guys don't realize how great those guys were. They really don't.
They really don't. I have to agree with you. They really don't.
I mean, you know. Oh, and I gotta say one thing, Joe. Hey, Tom Brady, shut your mouth. I love you. You're a great player. Shut your mouth and go back and throw footballs. Do not say you're Tom Terrific and you're going to get that trademark. That belongs to a great baseball player. So stop it.
How much did Tom Seaver pay you to say that?
But it's true.
It is true. Tom Terrific was Tom Terrific. Period.
When you say Tom Terrific, it's Tom Seaver. This guy, and I love Brady. I think he's maybe the greatest quarterback of all time. One of the top 3. He says, well, I'm going to name myself Tom Terrific, and I'm going to get it copyrighted. Tom, you're not Tom Terrific. You're Tom Great, whatever. The great Tom Brady, Tom Great, but you're not Tom. Leave that to Tom Seaver.
Leave that where it belongs.
Right. Come on, Tom. Stop it now. You know, that's just crazy. You don't take another guy's nickname, Joe. You just don't.
That's very true. That's very true. Especially when that guy is somebody who is as successful as Tom Seaver was. There weren't very many pitchers that were as good as him.
He's one of the great right-handers of all time, and he's in the Hall of Fame. 300 wins. And you want his nickname? Oh, come on. Tom Brady, maybe you're not listening or what, but no, you don't do that. And I love Tom Brady. This is not, all I'm saying is that's not the way to do it.
And that's not the way to do it. I mean, he can, you know, he's a smart enough young man where he can come up with his own nickname and not have to borrow from one of the greats.
Right, especially, yeah, because even if he does all like when you mention Tom Terrific, nobody thinks of Tom Brady, Joe. Nobody.
No, because that Tom Terrific goes with Tom Seaver.
Right. Who was one of the greats.
Who was terrific.
Yeah. So I'm a little upset about Tom, and I love Tom Brady. You know, but come on, Tom, stop it. It's great. Don't infringe, especially when it's the baseball player.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Sport, Tom.
That's true. Mr. Brady, shame on you.
Yeah, shame on Tom Brady. You know, and I love the guy. People don't get the mistaken. I just don't think this is. You know what? And it's not his type of person. It's not his personality. I don't know why he's doing this.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I think it's going to blow back in his face doing that, because if you try to steal, like you said, a beloved guy in history's nickname, it always comes back to haunt you. Even though Brady is one of the best at his position, he needs to stay the heck out of baseball.
Yeah. So, you know, give yourself a Tom the Great, Terrific Tom, whatever. Not Tom Terrific. You can find another nickname.
I heard Tomcat might be fitting.
Oh, that could be. That could be.
What's that?
He said that? Tomcat.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
I don't know.
Hey, let me ask you. There's a lot of stuff going around the league now with after the injury to the little girl in the stands about putting up netting all around. You got any opinion on that one?
Yes. Put it up, Joe. I know the fans, but no, that put it up. Did you see how that ball player took it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was so upset, man.
Yeah, I mean what a class act that was. He handled that thing. He was just a truly class guy.
He couldn't play after that, really.
No, he was devastated. And he's checked on her numerous times.
As soon as she gets what's gonna go and be a friend to her, I think it's again a class act.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
So that ball is hit too hard. I know the fans don't want netting up, and to me, Joe, you got to put it up. That's just my opinion. You know, I don't want to see no more kids. You know, it's just going too fast, Joe.
Sometimes it's so fast you really don't know where it is. I mean, you lose sight of it.
Right.
It's so quick.
Right.
And ironically, especially if it's coming right at you, you know, that's when you really can't tell.
Right. I mean, people don't. You sit there. Look. Oh, I got another pet peeve, Joe. Another pet peeve. All right.
Sure.
We did Tom Brady. Here we go. Okay, fans. You buy a ticket. You have the right to cheer for your team, boo the other team, boo the players. Yes, you do not have a right to get personal. You do not have a right to get personal with somebody and call them names other than baseball names. You don't have that right. And you don't have the right to, when the game is over, to go over to the guy's house.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Bill Buckner had to leave Boston because the fans would bother him at his house. First of all, he didn't lose that game. Cal Giraldi and Bob Murphy, whatever the hell his name is, lost that game. They were the pitchers. They threw the wild pitch and they gave up the hits. Don't blame Buckner for that. Number one. Number two, don't go to his house. And you had another day to win. It was only the sixth game. You had a 3-0 lead and you blew it. So how is that Buckner's fault?
Exactly right. Exactly right. I have to agree with you 100%.
And you had no right to go over to his house.
Of course not. And you're right. You have the right as a fan when you buy a ticket to cheer, to boo. But when the game's done, the game's done. You're exactly right. And to do what they did to that young man, Billy Buckner was a class act, always played the game hard, always focused, cared more than almost any player about wanting to win, wanting to do good. And he was a great player. He was a Gold Glove. I mean, he was a very good player, and to have that done to him was absolutely pathetic. Just no class at all.
And I'll give you another. I think Mookie Wilson would have beat it out anyway.
Oh, I think so too. I think a lot of people think that had he made the play, Mookie would have been on first anyway. I think that's very true.
Yeah,
Mookie told him that.
Buckner was pretty far off the bag, and Mookie was a fast guy.
Yeah.
So, why? You know what? Oh, the fan, don't take it out. It's a game, fans. It's a game. It's not life or death. Once the game is over, it's over. Talk about it all you want, but don't go to the guy's house. Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
That's a great point.
And they did the same to Steve Bartman. They chased him out of Chicago.
Right, the fan that got the foul ball. That's exactly right. They ruined his life. And when you watch a foul ball hit in the stands, you see everybody reaching for it. He just happened to be the one that did it. But everybody was reaching for it. Yeah, it's never one guy. It's you're absolutely right. They have no right to after a game, the game is done. You don't follow people home. You don't harass them forever. That's just wrong.
Right. It's over. It's only a game. Baseball is a great game. Things like that hurt the sport, Joe.
Very much. Very much.
It hurts.
But it hurts society in general. I mean, it hurts society in general. That's just not something that people should be doing to one another. It's a shame.
Yeah, that should never happen. And please, fans, like I said, you got a right to boo the other team, boo the other players, say, hey, you stink, you can't play your business. But you don't have the right to get personal or make fun of his family or any of that stuff. That's out of bounds.
That's very, very, very true. I agree with that one.
That's out of bounds. Come on, fans.
Yeah.
Be a real fan. Don't be a a-hole. Be a fan. There's a difference.
Very true. Very true. That's a great point. I'm glad you shared that, because people, when you go to games, you need to realize that. When the game is over, the game is
Right.
over. If you lost because you think somebody made a bad play, maybe they did. But the game is over. They didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
Let it go.
Right. I mean, look, nobody's perfect out there. Mickey Mantle blew games. Babe Ruth blew games. They all do.
You're human.
Come on, guys.
Of course they do.
You know, but you know, once, like you said, the game is over. That's it.
Absolutely
That's it.
right. That's a definite.
I mean, Joe, these guys are special. When you make the major leagues, you are special. You
Sure,
know how
you're
to
the
play
best
the
of
game.
the best.
Fans, so you don't, you know, so they make a mistake once in a while. Big deal. Look at
Well,
Ralph Terry gave up the home run to Bill Mazeroski in 1960. If I saw Ralph Terry today, I would shake his hand because I was a fan of his. I wouldn't say, you're a bum to what happened. It was one of those things.
Right.
So, hey, I still cry when I think in 1960. I still cry when I think in 1955. Johnny Padres.
Great pitcher.
He shut us out.
He
won
did.
the 7th game of the World Series.
He did.
If I saw him, I'd shake his hand. He's a great pitcher. I wouldn't say, you bum, you gave up the... It's over with. You beat us fair and square. Forget about it.
And that's how a fan of the game should be, whether it's their team or not. You should be a fan of the game and act appropriately.
You should be a fan of the game, show respect for every player because they made it to the big leagues, and you can have your favorite team. Good. That's the way it should be. Fan of the game, respect the players, and have your favorite team.
Exactly
Beyond that,
right.
Joe, you're not a fan.
Exactly right. I agree with that. I think that is the way it should be.
So I just wanted to get that out, Joe, because when Bill Buckner died, may his soul rest in peace, and they brought stuff like that up. I said, you know what? It took 20 years for him to the fans finally to
welcome him back into Boston.
But anybody that knows baseball, Joe, knows he didn't lose the World Series.
That's exactly right.
It was Sherrod and the other guy. I forget the other pitcher. They lost it. They gave up the hits.
That's exactly right. It wasn't Buckner.
No,
he was a great player and a
Boston
great
had a
guy.
3-0 game in Game 7, and they blew it
And
anyway.
they blew the lead, yeah, which had nothing to do with him.
Right, nothing to do with Buckner. What a shame! Oh boy, they put him through. That's uncalled for, Joe.
It is uncalled for. People, when you're listening
Yeah,
out there,
come on,
remember,
man.
be a fan of the game. Act with class.
Right.
Act with class. When the
right.
game's over, the game is over. Nobody did it out
And-
there on purpose.
No. And Joe, respect every player that made it to I respect every player that makes it to the major leagues. Are you kidding me? They made it to the major leagues, people. How many people of you have not made it to the major leagues? They have. Respect them for that.
Definitely. They are the best of the best. And in my opinion, in the best game and the most difficult game. You know,
Right.
in any other sport, when your average is 300 as a quarterback for completions, you lose your job. As a basketball player
Right.
shooting 300, you lose your job. As a baseball player hitting 300, you're an all-star. I mean, it's
Right.
that simple.
And, you know
Baseball
what?
is the toughest sport to play.
Right. Hitting a ball thrown at you with all these curves and swerves and cutters and speed. That's pretty damn good. You bet 300, man. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, try and determine, is that pitch inside, outside, high, low,
Right.
curve,
And you
fastball,
only got-
slider.
What they got? You don't even have a full second.
No, and what you can do, you people out there to want to know what it's like, if you take your car keys in your hand and hold your arm out parallel to your shoulder and drop your keys, That's the time that you have from when the pitcher releases his ball to when you're going to be making contact. That's how fast it is. And in that short amount of time, again, you have to see, is that a fastball? Is that a changeup, curveball, slider, high-low, up-down, inside, outside? I mean, you got to make all those decisions instantaneously. It's the hardest sport to play, but the best sport to play.
Especially now with these all kind of curveballs and cutters and fastballs at over 100 miles an hour. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Joe? Oh, my God. To get into the major leagues with that happening today, you're the cream of the crop, baby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, Mr. Yankee, we are almost out of time. I want to thank you for calling. You have a shout-out for anyone else before we go?
Yeah, I want to shout out to LeBron James and Walmart. So they're in they are combined, and they're going to feed the homeless. They signed on a 5-year contract. Whatever. It's estimated that they'll feed over 1 billion people.
Wow. Great shout out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. LeBron James and Walmart.
Props to LeBron.
Walmart.
Props to Walmart. Great thing. Props to you for bringing that up. We always appreciate you calling. Always appreciate your incredible knowledge of the game. We appreciate you tremendously here on Inside Pitch. Thank you for calling, and hope to hear from you again soon. Thank you for calling. All right, you take care. Thank you. Was great. We got to thank all of you guys. And in fact, based on all those problems, we just want to share that effective on the next show. We will be taping from now on. So if you have questions, if you have comments, anything that you want to say, please write to us at myinsidepitch@gmail.com. No punctuation in it, just all one word, myinsidepitch@gmail.com. Send your questions, send your comments, and we will respond. On that note, we're going to also start something new and end with a trivia question. No Googling, you cheaters out there. Mr. Yankee, you can't play because you probably have this on the top of your head. Our question for today that will be answered next week: who had the most triples in one game by one player? Who had the most triples in one game by one player? And as you heard Mr. Yankee say, triples are a thing of the past. So again, who had the most triples in a game by one player? And on that note, Brian, thank you very much for another great show.
Thank you very much, Joe. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Mr. Yankee.
It was great. Mr. Yankee, Mr. Computer, we thank you for sharing. We thank you for your knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we thank you for listening and being a part of the Inside Pitch, and have a great evening.
Bye, folks.
Take care.